Okay, so I love One Tree Hill. It is one of my favorite shows, and season 9, which is the final season, starts tonight. Now, I know some of you are familiar with the show, but maybe you're not completely caught up. You stopped watching years ago, or you're a few seasons back and you're catching up on the DVDs. Whatever it may be, the new season and last season, like I said, starts tonight. And what I want to do is do recaps of every episode of this final season because I just kind of want to relish it. I love the show and I'm going to miss the characters. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to film a vlog that kind of encapsulated all the storylines over the past 8 seasons so that you could start watching season 9 and kind of understand what's going on. I'm not going to mention some of the super small characters or some of the side plot lines that didn't really affect anything. And there could be some errors. Most of this I was going on memory. And I used to have a good memory, but then I had a baby. So anyways, also I wrote the script of this vlog out just so I could hit all the points and I wouldn't rattle on too much like I'm doing right now. So forgive me if I'm kind of looking down a lot. Okay? And let's start. One Tree Hill revolves around half-brothers Lucas and Nathan Scott. They live in Tree Hill, North Carolina, and they share the same father. His name is Dan Scott. So Dan Scott in high school dated Karen, and they conceived Lucas. Then Dan, on a basketball scholarship, left Karen and Lucas and met his collegiate girlfriend and later his wife, Deb, and they conceived Nathan. So Lucas is the older brother, Nathan is the younger brother. Since Dan went on to later marry Deb and raise Nathan as his son, but didn't really claim Lucas, Dan's brother, Keith, stepped in as the father figure for Lucas. So that's kind of how it all plays out. The parents play a really big role in the early seasons, but then they kind of taper off, and now you hardly ever see them, except for Dan does make an appearance in the past couple of seasons, and I think he's going to be in a couple episodes this season. I'll talk more about Dan later. So, in the pilot of the show, the boys end up on the same basketball team where Nathan is the star player and Lucas has just kind of been playing like down on what they call the river court, which is just, like shooting around hoops. But he's actually really good. Both boys are really good. So Lucas has a best friend. Her name is Haley. She's a girl. Nathan's girlfriend in the pilot is Peyton Sawyer. But they soon break up, and then a love triangle forms between Lucas, Peyton, and Peyton's best friend, Brooke. So, right now we have 2 boys, 3 girls. Nathan and Lucas, the brothers. And then we have Peyton and Brooke, best friends, and Haley, who's kind of the smart girl. Meanwhile, Nathan really needs help with his studies, so he asks Haley to tutor him, and that's why she gets the nickname Tutor Girl. I'm sure they'll reference that eventually, and they'll probably reference like a poncho. She wore this really ugly Martha Stewart poncho in one of the early seasons, so they bring that up all the time because it's just so funny. The couple of Nathan and Haley ends up being a fairly consistent relationship throughout the show, while Lucas tends to go back and forth between Peyton and Brooke. There are also some minor characters on the show. Mouth is a longtime friend of Lucas. He's a sports commentator, so he always used to talk about the games while they were playing down at the river court, and then once Lucas joined the basketball team, Mouth started doing this commentary for the high school games. He's currently with Millie, Mouth and Millie, it's so cute, and Millie, or Millicent, is Brooke's assistant, but I'm getting ahead of myself. The first 4 seasons are set in high school, and the major pivotal episode came at the end of the 3rd season, and it involved a school shooting in which Peyton was shot, but it was just a scratch, no worries, and Lucas rescued her. Very romantic, they totally fall in love, blah, 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 blah. Now, Dan, who was the mayor of Tree Hill at the time, used the school shooting as an opportunity to cover the murder of his brother, Keith, who was Lucas's father figure, and then he pinned it on that school shooter that committed suicide. So it's later discovered that Dan was the one that killed Keith, and he did time in prison, and this is why he is on the outs with his sons. But he will make some episodes in the final season, I just know it. Right now, he's flipping burgers at like a truck stop, and it's quite the departure from the powerful man he once used to be. Like I said, he used to be the mayor. Okay. During the 4th season, it's also discovered that Karen, who's Lucas's mom, is having a baby, as is Haley, Tutor Girl. She is now a senior, and she's the wife of Nathan Scott. So then the 5th season jumps forward 4 years. They completely skip college, which is a good thing because the actors were really starting to look too old for their roles, and now we're able to put the kibosh on some really lame storylines and start fresh. These are the fresh storylines. Brooke is a successful fashion designer and she owns Clothes Over Bros. Peyton is in California working as a crappy intern in the music industry. And we find out that she's turned down a proposal from Lucas and now she's with some guy named Julian. Lucas is this fancy writer and he's dating his publicist or editor or something, Lindsay. He later proposes to her with the same ring that he proposed to Peyton with, and this makes for a really good song, which if you watch the show, you'll remember because it's an awesome song. Nathan got signed with the NBA, but his big ego and attitude got in the way and he got in a fight with this guy at a bar and the guy shoved him through like this plate glass window and he broke his back. When we re-meet him 4 years, fast forward, he's this angry, hairy, pissed off dude in a wheelchair and you feel really sorry for Haley for having to put up with his crap all day long. He's depressed, I know, but he's really just hard to like. Haley is still with Nathan, obviously, and their son, Jamie, super cute, and he provides a lot of comic relief from all the drama that went on during that season. So, season 5. Everyone is back in Tree Hill, and Peyton and Brooke, they start a record label together. It's called Red Bedroom Records. And now Haley is kind of in charge with that. Anyways. And then Trick Nightclub, which was started by Karen back in the day. Karen also owned a cafe. That's where Haley worked. Anyway. That's where we see a lot of the characters talking to the bartender and progressing the narrative of what they're going through. So they sit there and they drink and they talk to the bartender and they bitch to each other and it's ridiculous. One bartender, his name is Chase, and he's that dude from Laguna Beach that the girls are fighting over even though he wasn't that cute. And I only mention it because he's probably still going to be in the current season. He joins the military and he's dating the super hot actress named Alex and that the gang is all friends with, and he becomes kind of a peripheral friend of the group in later seasons, and he's kind of a show regular, kind of. They basically use him when they don't have anything else going on with the main characters. So, Lucas and Peyton are in another triangle, but this time with Lindsay, his publisher, editor, girlfriend. So Lindsay and Haley are friends, and Peyton and Brooke are besties, so it's all kind of a little awkward. Peyton ends up winning, and they get pregnant, and she's diagnosed with placenta previa, and the show completely blows it out of proportion, and you'd have thought the baby had like a terminal condition or something by the way they reacted to it. Peyton starts bleeding on her wedding dress, because that's what always freaking happens, and the baby is born and is fine, and the couple, and the baby, decide to leave Tree Hill and search for better prospects, which we all know they never found half as good a gig as Tree Hill, but whatever. Lucas is going to return for 1 episode-ish. I think it's only 1. But Peyton is never to be heard from again. So, Nathan starts training again, and he works with the high school team, and magically he's eventually back in the NBA. There's some stuff that happens in between, but basically he went from broken back in a wheelchair, and now he's playing in the NBA again. 7th season jumps ahead 1 year and we meet a few new characters. Clay is Nathan's agent. He is smoking hot and he is a widower of his dead wife, Sarah, and he falls in love with Haley's sister. Haley's sister, Quinn. She's a photographer and she recently split from her husband, David, and Quinn and Clay fall madly in love and they spend most of their time at Clay's beach house and they're wearing white flowing clothing and they're like walking in the surf and it's all idyllic and ridiculous. Haley's mother dies and she finds out that she's pregnant with a little girl, so she names the baby after her mother and her childhood cat. I don't get it. Brooke thinks she's pregnant. Oh, and Julian, which was Peyton's boyfriend back in California, follows Peyton to Tree Hill, figures out that she's still in love with Lucas, and so he falls in love with Brooke instead. That's kind of how it always works out. Those girls swap boys back and forth. It's ridiculous. But anyways, Julian is a filmmaker, and that's how that actress Alex, that dated the Laguna Beach bartender, gets involved in the picture. So anyways, Brooke thinks she's pregnant because she's never late for her period, but this month she is late. So she goes to the doctor and she's expecting to be told that she's pregnant, and instead the doctor tells her that she can never have kids. There's no infertility diagnosis or anything, it's just nope, you can never have kids. So your guess is as good as mine as what she has. So she starts to pursue fostering and then adoption, but later she ends up magically pregnant naturally with twins. Her and Julian are still together. So in last season's finale, which was kind of like a fast forward episode, and I really should have rewatched it before I wrote this, so it's all kind of coming from memory and Wikipedia, but it follows Brooke's pregnancy and the premature delivery of her boys, Davis, after Brooke Davis, and Jude, after the Beatles song. Haley buys Karen's old cafe and reopens it with Brooke, and Nathan, who can no longer play in the NBA because his back injury has flared up, joins Clay as an agent and they go scouting talent all over the place. So I think that just about catches you up. To recap, the main characters that I expect you to see this season are Haley and Nathan Scott, and their son Jamie, and their daughter Lydia Bob. She should be just a little baby. And then Brooke and Haley have their baby boys, Davis and Jude. And then Quinn, who's Haley's sister, and Clay will be the smoking hot couple always on the beach. They're like impossible to miss. And probably Chase, the guy from Laguna Beach, will be back from the military and with Alex, the model. And then Mouth and Millie will probably be doing some like morning talk show. Okay, have any questions? Leave them in the comment section below. Please watch this season. It's a really good show and I love it, and yeah.